so I can get some stuff shared. And there's one thing I have to do here I forgot about. Save. Boom. Because that's what we do. We save things. All right. And then I want to go here to this. Oh, I don't want that. I want this one. I want that gone. I want you here. I want you here. I want you there. And let's do a test. There it is. Boom. Just like that. I did all that quick. That quick. All right. I hope everybody's good, man. Hope you guys are all looking sexy. Sexy is a state of mind. Okay. Sexy is a state of mind. All right. I just want to go here to the page and make sure that gets shared. Stucci Media, Facebook page. It shows live. Yeah, baby. There it is. Okay, I'm going to share it to the group. Stucci Media group. Man, you guys get your ass over there. Group. Boom. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. That was Rocci Stucci, folks. The man, the myth, the legend. Boom, shared. Just like that. And God, we only have about a minute. That's how quick we got to work around here. That's how quick we do it. Got my glasses, my cheaters. I got something really cool to show you guys once we go live. Mr. Ron Phillips, I love the dude. Love him. I do. I love him. Care what anybody says about him. Don't give a shit. I love him. All right. Got about a minute. Yeah, what do we got going on here? Elderberry. GTSY. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to say GTSY back to you. Okay? All right? So it's about go time. We're actually on Facebook and we are on YouTube. I'm on both of them because you know what? I don't care anymore. All right? I don't care anymore. I don't even care. I don't even care. All right, it's go time. I'm nervous. It's been a while. I don't know. It's been a while, man. Oh my God. I'm so scared. What do I do? Oh my goodness. Whoa. 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 There. Stay there, homie. All right, here we go, motherfuckers. That's it. That's the way we do it. The Rocci Stucci Show, broadcasting from an undisclosed location. I am the emotional meatball, Rocci freaking Stucci, folks. I ran. We need to find a fucking bunker. There we go. Drop the F-bomb right off the bat. I swear to God, I said before the show started, I said, no F-bombs tonight, bro. Just keep it cool. Just come in smooth. Just bring it in. You know what I'm saying? Just bring it in. Boom. I already failed. That's what I do. It's the ADHD of talk radio. We're going to cover some things. Going to cover some Iran stuff. I'm going to cover the timeline of Iran, the bullshit, the craziness. Ever since we've been born, I don't care how old you are, we've always been under threat of war, nuclear attacks, ghosts, aliens, goblins, and human beings, just in general. Just human beings. I'm more afraid of human beings than I am afraid of ghosts. I am more afraid of human beings than I am of aliens. Yeah, human beings kind of suck sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you ever notice how, as life, when you first start life out, it's about how many friends you got. You kind of brag about, man, I got a lot of friends. I really feel good about that, right? And then the older you get, you brag about how small your circle is. That's a real thing. That's a real thing because your bullshit tolerance decreases as you get older and you ain't got time for it. And so you actually start breaking, man, I got 3 real friends, man, and that is the shit. Like, you want to get t-shirts made and shit. You know what I mean? But anyways, before we continue, a whole bunch of stuff going on, but then I got a little triggered here today because right before the broadcast started, I had a delivery come in And I'm going to show you guys this. Everybody knows the great man, the myth, the legend, Ron Phillips. Ron freaking Phillips. He used to do abnormal realities with them. He's on the Daily Mojo with Brad Staggs in the morning, producer Ron. And he's my brother, through and through, my brother. Before he's any of those titles, the dude is my brother. And everybody, or a lot of people, know that I have a new apparel site. I don't have the URL ready yet, but everything's going to be launched here within a couple of days, probably by tomorrow. I've been saying that for about 4 days. Don't worry about it. The site is built. I got t-shirts on there. I think I got about 40 t-shirts. I'm going to start adding the sweatshirts and all that other stuff. But I sent Ron a couple images that I really liked. These were the first 2 images that I made t-shirts with. And here's the thing too. When Stucci Apparel goes live, every image on there is an original. There's nothing else like it, and I want to keep it that way. I don't go to a website and I don't buy a whole bunch of templates and then put them on a t-shirt. We put the time into it, and we make our own. I make our own. But I sent these to Ron, and there's a reason for this. I want to show you guys this. So, and I know I got some studio light here. I don't need your permission to be free. My rights aren't a debate. But so these are the stickers that Ron makes from Romika Designs. These are the UV-DTF, direct to film, UV-DTF stickers. And he does all kinds. Wow, that's coming out really good. And you can put them on tumblers, you can put them on vehicles, you can put them on your computers. I mean, anything you can think of to put these things on, you can put them on your balls. Really, if you really wanted to, just sooner or later you got to take a shower. But I sent Ron these, and I didn't expect them to send me all this. But blood and honor, Odin, Valhalla. But so Ron sent me this. So these were the 3 t-shirt designs that I made on the website. And I just got this today, and he printed this for me. And I wasn't expecting it, but I actually think that looks really awesome. And so, Ron, thank you, bro. That was very cool. I appreciate you sending this. It's romikadesigns.com. I manage their social media for them. So if you can look them up on social media, that's the work of the meatball. If anybody needs any social media work done, any type of marketing, any type of graphics, anything in that realm, I'll be happy to help you out, or we can just have a meeting. We can talk about it. But if you need anything custom made, from UV DTF stickers to laser engraving to any of that really cool stuff, Ron is your guy. There's nobody else that you want to deal with. It's not just a business, it's a relationship, it's a family thing. And that's the one thing that I love about Ron and what he represents. And I think more businesses should, especially coming from somebody with a background, corporate background, and doing everything that I do. You're just not a number. And that's the cool thing about Ron. You're just not a customer. It's a relationship that you establish with people. And it's like you try to come up with reasons to continue to come up with orders because you just love working with these guys so much. And if my money ever goes anywhere, it's going to be to people like Ron and Misty. RomikaDesigns.com. It's RomikaDesigns.com. ROMIKA Designs.com. So anyways, folks, I love you, man. I appreciate you being here. The Rocci Stucci Show. We do a live recording for my audio side. I do a big push out after every show on the audio side. That's where I get my big distribution. But I like to record live just so we can all kind of sit here and talk and give facial expressions to people and tell people lead shit when we feel like it, because that's what we can do, right? Because we're free, aren't we? We're free. And we have the freedom of speech, right? To my understanding, that's what we're taught. That's what we're taught, is we have this freedom of speech. So let me go to the chat. There's Mary. What's going on, Miss Mary? Mary says an individual human is all right. As a group, humans really tend to suck. Amen, girl. And that's not a negative thought. That's a real thought. We can go on for hours about personal experiences we've had. And it seems like the dirtiest, rottenest people are the ones that preach the most integrity. I look at it like this. The people I trust the most are the loudest. They come off as vulgar. They come off as harsh. And even in the management arena, the old school managers were very direct and they're very stern people. But the one thing that I can tell you in most arenas is that the people that come off as the most rude, offensive, vulgar speaking type of people are people that you're probably going to get the most honesty from. The people that try to say the things you want to hear, people that try to dictate their words, try to dictate their language, because they're trying to manipulate a situation. I find those people, I don't want to use the word dangerous, but they're manipulative and they wear many masks. And if you ask me, when you put on a mask, then you're not genuine. I don't know. That's just me thinking out loud. That's what I'm doing. I'm thinking out loud. That's all I got with that, right? So, anyways, there's a couple things I want to talk about on the program tonight. A couple of thingios. Thank you, Elderberry. Appreciate it. I appreciate you. There's a couple things I do want to talk about tonight. And, it's like, do we want to talk about politics? Sometimes we have to because it affects our life. Anybody who's living paycheck to paycheck right now, what do we do every single day? We're looking at the price of gas. We drove by here. I'm in Fort Lauderdale right now, and price of gas in Fort Lauderdale area right now is about $3.98, almost $4 a gallon. It's almost becoming the norm. It's become acceptable to be bent over the table for gas because of this war that we just will never end. It'll never end. Once we destroy Iran, we'll rebuild it and we'll pay for all that, and then the United States taxpayer is going to have to pay taxes to fix all that. The shit just gets old to me, right? I was going to bring up something with Charlie Kirk, but I would have been dog trailing really bad on that. Just talking about the manipulation and the dog trails and the bullshit and the lies and the gaslighting. But I'm going to make one comment before I get into the rant thing about the conservative movement. It's nothing what I thought it was anymore. It's not what it used to be, at least, right? And maybe I was so fooled 5 or 6 years ago, thinking that we are representing much bigger than what I thought was. Or I don't know, maybe in time people change. Maybe in this, space of conservative talk radio, when people are in it long enough, they tend to chase opportunities and sell out. They chase sponsorships. Once you become, corporate sponsored, they dictate a lot of what you say, how you say it, when you say it. And I'm going to say this before I start talking about Iran and before I start talking about what's going on in my former state of Minnesota with the Somali terrorists, is I'm tired of the gaslighting. If a lot of these conservative talking heads, no matter what they're talking about, I don't trust anymore because they're so tribalistic in what they preach, and they are gaslighting the shit out of the people that follow them. And it gets to the point where I just want to start calling shit out, like, publicly. Like I want to address this publicly because this is the weirdest thing. I Googled this and I'm like, what is a conservative? What is, to like encyclopedia or to Wikipedia, to the general public, what is the core values of conservatism? It's everything that is supposed to be. It's not being played out, it seems like. There's nowhere in any definition of conservatism where it's a tribalism. If we truly are supporters of the Constitution, then we are true supporters of the First Amendment, whether we like it or not. If we're true defenders of the Republic, we always hear democracy, but if we are true defenders of the Republic, in which we are, the nation of laws, then due process is important, but not manipulation of due process. Beyond a reasonable doubt is what we've always heard in the courtrooms, beyond a reasonable doubt. And so when I'm watching a lot of these people, and talk about don't throw stones in glass houses, a lot of these conservative talking pieces, they kind of forget that there's people that actually know who they are behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? They talk and they preach all this bullshit and their Jesus talk and it's just like the shit that they have done behind the scenes. Oh, what they learn now, right? Though, just like everybody, we've all gone through it. We all got our scars. But the gaslighting has become too much for me. Is it for mouthpieces to gaslight the people that have been loyal to them for so long, trying to force them into thinking into a very ideological way, I think is fucking disgusting. I think it's gross. I think it's toxic. And it makes you wonder who's in their pocket. It makes you wonder who's in their pocket. It don't make sense to me. Just like what we're witnessing now. And now this is where I'm going to piss everybody off, right? This is my open monologue. I can say and talk about whatever I want. I got a few minutes to do this. This is where I can tend to piss people off. because we've been watching these jets, these Blue Angels. They're doing the flyovers. They're flying over beaches and everything, and everybody's woohooing it. And it's just like, everybody knows me, and everybody knows I'm cool. I'm all about that rebel shit. I'm all about the cowboy shit. And I'm not a veteran. For some reason, if you're not a veteran, some people think you don't have the authority to talk about certain things. No, I have the authority to talk about whatever the fuck I want, period, across the fucking board, right? First Amendment, right? Right? Conservatives, First Amendment. Military's always represented discipline. It's the reason why you go into boot camp is to go through the indoctrination or unindoctrination of lazy life and the indoctrination of a very controlled, disciplined life. And that's in the military. You can't have a wrinkled shirt. Your shirt has to be tucked in perfectly. Everything has to be perfect in your attire, the way you conduct yourself. There's a reason why we have the non-cowboy mentality, or we've had it within the military. But for some reason now it's okay for jets to do these flybys. And again, don't get me wrong, because there's part of me that woohoo it too. I love it. I think it gives me chills. I love it. But sooner or later, what's going to happen is one of these cowboys is going to fuck up. And they're going to try to do some cowboy shit. They're going to try to do a low sweep on a beach somewhere, and they're going to fucking crash. They're going to hit a building. There's something is going to malfunction. And before you know it, we're going to be burying people. And then all of a sudden, it's like everybody's going to gaslight each other, and there's going to be this reverse psychology going on in regards to, well, I never supported it. No, it's the hypocrisy in our arguments and the cowboy shit. Just because our tribe thinks it's okay, we think it's okay. But I think the most intellectual people I know are the ones that challenge their own beliefs. They challenge their own political frames. They challenge their own political ideology. So if they're going to strongly believe in something, they're going to try to counter their own belief and understand why they believe it's so strong. If you're going to believe in the Bible, don't just believe in the Bible because you think it's cool to be Christian. It's because you can give me data in that Bible that you support that makes you that faithful person. You're able to defend your belief, right? If you're going to hate Islam, you're not going to hate Islam just because you're taught to hate Islam. You're going to hate Islam because you have an intellectual responsibility of understanding why you hate it. And so you'd be able to debate the reasons why you hate Islam. If you are against illegal immigration, if you are pro or anti-LGBT, any of this radical shit going on in the streets. How many times have you watched a video where somebody went up to a protester on the left and they would ask them a question and they didn't really know how to answer it? So they never even really knew why they were really angry. But they were pissed. They were super pissed. And fuck Trump. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're burning shit down, but they really can't tell you why they're mad. They're just super mad because they were told to be super fucking mad. And so fuck Trump, and fuck conservatives and Nazis and racists and all this other shit. And, here's a question I have too. When it comes to Nazi Germany, when it comes to what the atrocities of what happened during World War II, and I will say they're atrocities, isn't it kind of ironic that the same group that were victims of World War II are now the same group that are willing to destroy the entire fucking planet, and we are witnessing genocidal acts from that same group that is claimed to be genocided during World War II? And we have been so psychologically indoctrinated that if we speak out against it, we're an anti-Semite, or we're an anti-this, or we're an or phobic, or whatever the fuck they want to say it is this week. And we have allowed ourselves to be weaponized by language. We talk about this a lot on this show, the weaponization of language. And we become so weak-minded and intellectually, we have the lack to understand the low-level intelligence it takes to be offended by a word. Look at the N-word. Look at the N-word. The same group of people that get super offended by the N-word are calling themselves the N-word 3 times a sentence. How do you argue with people with no logic? You really can't. You can't argue with that. So what I wanted to do, I guess, in this episode really quick is, trying to understand the timeline, because now there's a bunch of advisories. There's been warnings in regards to, I'm going to pull something up here really quick. Please tell me it's already, well, okay. Sorry, I'm typing, and I type with one finger. I got to really focus when I type with one finger. Is travel advisories. There's anybody that's outside of the United States now. There's all these warnings that there's a potential global conflict that's ready to start going down. Russia, you got Europe, you got Poland. Now Poland's coming into the mix. You got Germany. So Poland has done a fantastic job in regards to protecting their borders, protecting their people. And there's a shady guy outside the studio, and I can't stop paying attention to him because I don't like anybody who covers their face when it's super hot outside. You know what I'm saying? But so now there's travel advisories, and what they're trying to say, and this is what I was trying to understand with these warnings that have been coming out from the Pentagon and from the military, is that you could get fucked if you're traveling overseas somewhere. There's a high possibility that wherever you are, anywhere in the world, if conflict breaks out, you're stuck there. If you're traveling, even if you're on vacation, you're stuck there. Like if I wanted to go to Egypt to go look at the pyramids and shit goes down, I'm going to be eating out of the pyramids for a while, And so, everything happens so quick, everything's happened so quick. But before I continue, I want to do something here. Well, thank you, Elderberry. Elderberry said that you were a fireman. That service, I salute you. I appreciate that. I miss that. And there was something about running into a burning building that made me feel alive. Facing death makes you feel life. It's weird when you say it like that. I remember we used to sit in the trailers and pack half the trailer with hay and pallets, and we would light the whole trailer up, and we'd see who can sit in there the longest, take the heat. The name badges on our helmets would start to bend, and I never won. You know what I mean? I don't want to burn to death. I would go in there as long as I could, but I never wanted to burn to death. But I'm going to do a screen share here really quick. One of the big projects I have been working on is right here. This here, as you guys can see, is my Pulse podcasting page. Let me go back to over here. You guys can see this is built out. It's a podcast site, all different types of stuff. It has a live stream feature on it. It has all these different features for podcasters. There's so much you can do here. There's different packages. You can have $19. There's a free version. If you have a podcast RSS feed, you can just go in there and just add your RSS feed. It's extra distribution. There's so much that this site offers in regards to features, captures, producers, measures, monetizes, broadcasts live, reach, distribution, publish. We have an AI feature in there that will create all your thumbnails for you. That'll create your descriptions for your shows. Or you can just upload your RSS feed and, whatever. You could just, whatever. But it's pulsepodcasting.com. I've been up for the last 2 days working on that son of a bitch. That was probably been one of my hardest build outs yet to date, just because there's so many technicalities with the live streaming features, adding AI components to it, the RSS feeds, the share feeds, the distribution. You can add a show page on there. You can get donations on there. There's ways for you to monetize on there. And all those features had to run perfectly. And so that was probably my biggest build to date that I've ever built. And then, that's it. I don't know why I said, and then like I was going to continue, like I actually had more shit to say. I'm done. That's it. I'm done. All right. So this is what I wanted to, besides lose my damn freaking mind. What did Mary say here? Mary said, we should be a nation of laws. We're a nation of political will. If those in charge at any given time don't like the laws, they just ignore them. Yeah, you know what? That's true. And they either ignore them or they rewrite a new law to counter the existing law, and then they add another law to that law to double counter that existing law. And before you know it, everything gets buried into language. I'll ask people this question and answer it for me. What's your definition of freedom? You know what I'm saying? What is your definition of freedom? And does freedom exist? I don't know how many times on this program I've asked that question. And it's not negative. I'm a patriot, man. I'm a fucking patriot. And these are the questions patriots should be asking. Everything that we hoorah'd, every fucking thing that we used to go to these rallies about. We used to do these big fucking bridges where we'd get on the bridges with the flags. We used to do the motorcycle runs with the flags. And where is that essence? Right? Where is that 1%er mentality, if you know what I'm saying? the true understanding of who we are as a person, the true understanding of our freedom without a government needing to give laws. Because to me, there's two levels of freedom. There's my naturally born freedom. Nobody fucking owns me. We only claim dominance over properties. We only claim dominance over land, just like humans have always done. And then we force people into an arena of a reality, and we create a monetary system and a medical system and an educational system and an indoctrination system and a militaristic system. And then we say, this is real. This is our realism. And then what they do, so you don't resist it, is they create this perception that we are a free nation. But what can we do that represents us differently as a free nation than half the countries around the world can't? What makes us more free than anybody else in the world? Because we have a Second Amendment? There's other countries that, regardless of whether a government says it's okay to have a gun or not, people will have guns. So my question I pose is what is our definition of freedom in the United States when we're waving the flags, when we're showing up at all these fucking events, and we're hoorahing all the, I'll tell you some a symbolism of patriotism. I got a buddy, his name is Thomas Sutton, and he is from Georgia. And trying to think of the city. God, I'm trying to think of the city. Woodstock. He is from Woodstock, Georgia, and he has a company called Tom and Jerry's Roofing. When somebody asks me what is a patriot, I think of somebody like Tom, because of the fact is that his business is wrapped around the ideology of representing veterans. He's a veteran, and he's actively involved physically, where they do multiple things for multiple organizations. His company gives a ton of money because he understands something, that our government is too busy helping people that aren't even U.S. citizens. And our government is too busy paying for wars, trying to conquer land elsewhere. We're too busy making sure Israel is good. We're too busy making sure the cartels are good. We're too busy making sure that Hamas is good and the Taliban is good. We're too busy making sure everybody and their fucking grandparents have food in their stomach except the working American citizen, especially the veteran. The ones that have given us and fought for the freedoms of this country are the ones that are most deprived and get shit on the most. I'm not a veteran, but I'll be a voice for the veterans in any way possible that I can. And now it's getting to a point to where we have to start becoming a voice for the working, want to be left alone American citizen, because we're forced into radicalism all the time. When do you remember a time of peace? Since you were born. When do you remember that? Because I don't, and that's not negative. These are things that we need to start addressing. I'm trying to be civil about it, but I'm pissed off. I'm burnt out of it. And I'm trying to have a civil conversation about it. But, there's also part of me that just wants to be like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of want to get to that point too sometimes. But here's something interesting I wanted to pull up. Let me catch my breath. I was trying to understand the history of Iran. Because, when you hear people say that, well, Iran used to be more civil, and it used to be. This is what happens when you create agencies like the CIA, and you have this country that claims the light fucking on the hill, right? This representation of freedom, and we fall into that ideological zombieism, and we kind of turn a blind eye, and we believe the media, the propagandist. And we believe them on what they distribute for information. So we always believe when they say that these people are the bad guy, they're the bad guy. The Taliban, we created the Taliban. We trained the Taliban. We brought the Taliban to the United States. The Taliban used to have recruiting centers in New York City, public recruiting centers in New York City. This is when the CIA was training members of the Taliban for whatever reason, right? We can get into that. But we used to bring the Taliban to the United States and train them. And then all of a sudden, the Taliban is our enemy, right? So it's all bullshit. It just depends what month it is, what year it is, and who we want to go fuck up this time, right? But I wanted just to look at a quick little detailed timeline of the history of Iran since the 1940s. And if anybody knows the significance of the 1940s and certain things that have happened in the 1940s, a lot of this will start making sense. Let me clear my damn throat. But 1941, World War II, Allied occupation, and rise of the Shah. British and Soviet forces occupy Iran and secure supply routes during World War II. They force Shah Reza, I'm not even going to try to say all the names, due to perceived Axis sympathies, replacing him with a 21-year-old pro-Western son, Mohammad Raza, whatever. That was the start of things changing in a country like Iran. In 1953, the CIA-backed coup, they called it Operation Ajax, where democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh nationalizes Iran's British-controlled oil industry in response to U.S., CIA, and British intelligence orchestrate a cover coup, overthrowing Mossadegh and restoring absolute power to the Shah. This is what happens when a leader of a country wants to give the profits of their oil back to their people, right? Now, let me ask you this. Would you allow any country to come into the United States, take over our oil, and sell our oil, and then send the profits of our oil to their country, and we don't profit from it? You know, most people would be like, fuck no, right? But we can sit here and talk about history, and we can say that we did that shit. And look at what we did in Venezuela. You know, and people will come up with the justified reason, the talking points that Fox News is going to tell them, and why it's justified for us to go. We're saving their people. No, we're taking their fucking oil. We're running their bank accounts. We'll give them what we decide is a necessary amount while their fucking children starve. And you have these fucking suits that are making billions of dollars off of gas and oil. All these families from Venezuela, all these families from all these oil-rich countries are literally starving. And then you have the middle-class Americans working 3 jobs just to be fucking broke because we're too busy paying all the expenses of this bullshit. None of this shit makes sense. 1957, U.S. launches Iran's nuclear program. Say it again. I'll say it again. 1957, U.S. launches Iran's nuclear program. Under President Eisenhower, Atoms for Peace program, the U.S. signs a civil nuclear agreement with Iran. The U.S. provides Iran with its first nuclear reactor and enriched uranium fuel. That was in 1957. 1979, the Iranian Revolution. Public hostility toward the Shah's authoritarian. God, I get there. Did you see me? I had to really think that shit out. Authoritarian rule culminates in the Islamic Revolution. The Shah flees to the United States for medical treatment, and the Ayatollah Khomeini establishes an anti-Western Islamic Republic. 1979 is when Iran went back to wearing the towels on the face, when they went back to the radical Islamic, anti-American, the West is evil type of mentality. There's a reason why that Shah fled, right? Because he was the one working. If you're familiar with British Petroleum, that's all that oil. That's where all that oil comes from. Then we have 1979 to 1981, the Iran hostage crisis. We all remember that for 444 days. 1980 to 1988, the Iran-Iraqi war and direct naval clashes. Now, here's the interesting part about this. This is the timeline of our existence. When you had the Iranian-Iraq war, the United States was sending Iraq, weapons of mass destruction. We were sending Iraq these chemical bombs, and Iraq was using the chemical bombs on Iran. So we used the country of Iraq to do whatever we were trying to get done in Iran to weaken Iran. And there are still people to this day that are still dealing with a lot of the effects from those chemical weapons. And then when Iraq decided to, or when our government decided to make Iraq the bad guy, then we're like, holy shit, you son of a bitches have weapons of mass destruction. We're not going to include the fact that we gave them to you to use on Iran, but you're bad guys now with weapons of mass destruction, and you are a threat to the world. Damn fly. You are a threat to the world. And so now we're going to train all of our people to say you are the new bad guy, and you're a threat to the world, and that you could use weapons of mass destruction on us at any given time. So we all need to be scared. We all need to be scared and prepare for war. And we take the bullshit. And then here, what we do. What do we do? When we went into Iraq, we watched it on TV like a fucking movie. You know, I mean, people couldn't shut fucking Fox News off. We would sit there and watch highlights every day of fucking bombs just blowing shit up, and we were cheering it on like we were watching the World Cup. Because we believed so much that this country was our enemy. Let me ask one question about Iran and their nuclear weapon. Who would be more dangerous with a nuclear bomb, Iran or Israel? Who would be more dangerous? Who is more prone? Let me ask it that way. Who is more prone to hit that nuclear button, Iran or Israel? Because there is not another country in this world that has more venomous hate towards anybody who's not them than Israel. The land, the holiest land of the world, the holiest land in the world is the land responsible for the most bloodshed. And we sit here, and depending on what news cycle we're on, that's part of our story. And that's how somehow we're fighting for our democracy, and we're fighting for our freedoms. We have men and women go over to these countries, and we have them coming home in fucking boxes. And whose war the fuck are we really fighting? I'm all about this shit, man. I'm all about when we go in and we truly help a country in distress. I think the last time that really happened is when we liberated France. They were under Nazi regime. We went in there and we fucking lost thousands of our guys going in and fighting to give France their country back. I think that was the last time there was true liberation. Now it's and I question, because Lisa and I, we used to have an organization called the Patriot Riders. And that was when we were getting a lot of men and women coming back in body bags, fighting over in Afghanistan. The Patriot blood was rolling through my body like you wouldn't believe. I was so infatuated on the news cycle. I was watching the bombings because we're sold the Kool-Aid at the time. We get angry because they know how to sell the stories. And now as time has passed, I sit there and I reflect on all of this. This is why we say we're only as intelligent of our history of the last generation, because we don't remember World War I. So we don't know the effects World War I really had on this country. We weren't here during any wars from the 1800s. We weren't here for the Civil fucking War. So we really don't know the true emotional impact that they had. Only the generation or two after those can really still relate. Like we still feel the Vietnam War, or we can really relate to the Vietnam War. We can't relate to the Korean War. Some people still can, but we can't. And so the emotional impact that had on a country, the PTSD, the alcoholism, the depression, the war battle, the deterioration of a human being from fighting these wars, we don't feel that because we don't witness it enough. We witness a Vietnam vet. We're watching Vietnam vets dying of Agent Orange all the time. We really ain't doing shit. We'll donate a few bucks here and there, but we really ain't doing shit. We go to events that, produce awareness, but we're not doing nothing to stop it because it's too much of a financial beast. So, yeah, that was the whole Iran-Iraq thing. And then, of course, 1985 to 1987, the Iran-Contra affair. And there's a lot of people that went down the conspiracy road in regards to the Iran-Contra. And there could be a lot of questions. I mean, you know what? Everything now, I'm to a point to where I just think everything's bullshit. And we can dive into every situation and be like, there's kind of a conspiracy there. There's kind of some bullshit conspiracy there. 2002, Axis of Evil. Covert nuclear sites exposed. I kind of remember that. I don't remember it like the back of my hand, but I kind of remember that. And then in 2015, the JCPOA, the nuclear deal, the Obama administration alongside world powers, P5+1, signs the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Iran gets to strictly limit uranium enrichment in exchange for relief from international economic sanctions. Remember the pallet of money? Now, here's the modern conflict. This is kind of what we're looking at today. Started in 2018, U.S. withdrawals from the nuclear deal. I'm going to kind of fly down this list a little bit because I want to cover a little bit what's going on with Minnesota. In 2018, the U.S. withdraws from the nuclear deal. In 2020, targets strike on Qasem Soleimani. 2023 to 2024, regional proxy escalation and direct attacks. June 2025, military strikes on nuclear facilities. February 2026, escalation and Operation Epic Fury. I love the fucking names that they give these. Operation Epic Fury. Can you think about the fucking Goombas that are sitting in a room and says, we got to come up with a name for this battle? Man, it has to be like powerful. So, all of us red, white, and blue loving patriots, we're out on the street waving the fucking flag every time a bomb is going off. You know what I mean? So epic fury, it's so stupid. Let's see, where am I at? And then July 2026, the Strait of Hormuz is kind of what we're witnessing right now. So Iran has always been kind of a weird situation. I'm watching that shit out in front of the studio for the record. So that dude's back. He's riding around on a scooter, battery operated scooter. Probably can go 30 miles an hour. I can't run that fast, but my bullet's faster than that. Shady looking dude. Come on, dude. I will video this if something happens. See, now this other dude comes outside, hands around the hips. Folks, we may have a situation in live action right now. This dude comes out, has a beard, salt and pepper hair, hands around the hips, hands are up a little high, so I'm kind of worried about him. No, but anyways, I think maybe why I'm sitting here right now and I don't even know why I did all this. There's so much about the Iranian war that a lot of people don't know. And now what are we witnessing? We're going to start witnessing our own men and women dying again. And call me a conspiracy theorist, because every conspiracy that all of us have always talked about is fucking true. And so we look at the Afghanistan war and the amount of men and women that came home in body bags, the Iraq war, all these different wars. And to find out that all these wars are bullshit, fucking greed, power. It's not for freedom. It's not for liberation. It's not for all the things that we say we're fighting for. It's not for all the freedom that we claim to be. We don't go in to a country like Venezuela and save their fucking oil so their country can be better, because their country will not get any better. They will not live any better because the United States went overtook their oil. I'm about doing the right thing at the right time. And sometimes hard decisions have to be made. And I understand that sometimes in the decisions, there's going to be conflict. And in conflict, there's going to be death. I understand all of that. I don't, I guess, is it justification? I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a reason why it's not. But, there are ways where you justify it. It's especially if they are true enemies of the human species. If they're evil people. And honestly, I think there's people in Israel that are evil fucking people. They hate anybody that is not part of their little pedophiliac blood drinking fucking orgies that they have all the fucking time. And historically, the constant bullshit. I think there's dangerous people there that this country needs to not be afraid to be called a fucking name and address these concerns. It concerns me that our government is so in bed with that same type of government. It bothers me that we sit here and we're constantly reminded of World War fucking II and the atrocities of World War II, but yet you're going to fucking tell me that what happened to some of those Palestinian children, statistically and factually, take all your ideological bullshit out of the fucking picture, and statistically and factually, were not genocided. They were not killed. They're still being killed today. They're being bulldozed. The entire fucking region. And I'm not pro-Palestinian. I'm not pro-Hamas. I'm not pro any of that. I'm pro-fucking intellectual fucking thinker and independent thinker that, okay, wait a minute. If somebody has a battle cry, what are they pissed off about? And why are they pissed off? So I listen. I want to know why. I want to know why they're supposed to be our enemy. So my biggest concern is that if we're constantly reminded about the atrocity of something like World War fucking II and all the Jews that got killed during World War II, then why is it okay for Jews to do the same fucking shit today to other fucking people, and our government is going to be intertwined and in the bed with these fucking Jews while they're doing it, and we're paying the fucking bill? I have a problem with all of this. Call it whatever the fuck you want. Call me whatever name you want. That's great. That's great, because your bullshit, lack of fucking brains, cannot penetrate my free thinking. And I got concerns that in another 20 years, that the United States is going to be just as responsible for genocidal fucking blood as any other fucking country should be, because we paid for it. The middle class in this country went broke to pay for the fucking invasion of radical fucking Muslims into this country, that fucking paid for our southern borders to get opened up, for our country to be invaded in so many different levels. We have Iraqs, we have Iranians, we have Chinese people fucking planted all over our fucking country. We see what's happening in Europe right now. They're all breeding Europeans. And this is why you have places like France that their government is ran by Muslims. They're going to have power. We're sitting here saying, well, we can't fucking let Iraq be able to have a nuclear fucking weapon. So what are we going to do? We're going to go send all of our people over to another country like France. We're going to fucking outbreed the fuck out of them. And then we're going to take their governments over. Well, guess what? They have the button for the nuclear bomb there. They're going to go into Britain. They're going to go into Amsterdam. They're going to go into all these fucking countries and have the button of what we claim to be trying to stop this fucking country from being able to do. So how does that make sense? How does that make sense? It don't make fucking sense to me. So I got a lot of concerns in regards to all of this bullshit. You know, if we're so true in our fucking character, the same fucking people that are dictating our lives, that are starting these wars, that are responsible for mass fucking genocide, are the same ones that are on the fucking Epstein list. They're the same ones on the Epstein list. So why the fuck aren't we pissed? You know, why are we so afraid to come out and say, you know what, stop this fucking government. Let's shut this motherfucker down until we get answers, because they are the true servants of the people. I mean, we go back and we start listening to the founders of this fucking country, and we start listening to the dangers that they fucking warned us about in regards to do not let this country become the power over the people, make sure the people become the power over the government, because they knew the catastrophic fucking consequences if we put a fucking stick up our asshole and believe this bullshit, become tribalistic in our fucking faith, and we become blind to reality. And then we get so wrong and so stupid that we defend our stupid. And I don't know anything. You know, I think the most intellectual people I know that the more they learn, they realize they don't know shit. You know, but I just know that one thing is true, is that the narrative that we're always fed is a bunch of fucking propaganda bullshit. You know, and then here's friends that I know, people that I care about, people that listen to the show, people that watch this program. They struggle every fucking day of their life. They get sick and they can't get extra help. They can't get food fucking stamps like some of these people that go to these grocery stores with 2 carts and fill up on pop and steaks, while we're sitting here fucking walking into a store with our phone using our fucking calculator because we have a budget of $60 to pay for our food for a whole fucking week. That's fucking freedom. You know, and people told me, and I thought I was for a while too, after I got sick, I lost my job at Lockheed Martin. I became fucking homeless. I was on top of the fucking world. I was working with all these celebrities. I was on top of the fucking world. Paid my taxes, made really good fucking money. And then you lose everything. It's like, where the fuck the world go? Where did the world go? And wait a minute. As a middle-class taxpayer, where all these taxes that I paid into all these fucking programs that these illegals are getting and all these other fucking countries are getting coming into this country, where are my benefits? Why do I have to be homeless for a fucking year or 6 months before I qualify for this? I'm the fucking one who paid for it. Why are the people who never put a dime into our system the ones that benefit from it, but the people that fucking kill themselves working just to be broke, they don't get to reap any of those fucking rewards. You know, and I'm a proud fucking guy. It's not like I wanted help to eat, but my children were fucking starving. It's not like I wanted help for somewhere to live, but my family was living in a motel. And there was no help I could get anywhere from the state of Texas, from the state of Florida, because I wasn't broke long enough. I didn't live in a fucking cardboard box long enough, or watch my family deprive on nothing and starve to death and watch their fucking teeth fall out before they can get help. So exactly where the fuck is our freedom again? Let's get to that. Where the fuck is our freedom when the middle class people that had to fight for fucking nothing, while the people come in here that bitch and hate this fucking country live a fucking luxurious life? You get sick, what happens? You go fucking broke. That's freedom? That's what we're hooting and fucking hollering about? That's what we're waving the fucking flags over? Yeah, okay, I'm a patriot. I'm going to go fucking cheer this patriotic fucking greatest country in the world on, the freest fucking country in the world on, so when I get sick, I can go fucking homeless and not get a fucking lick of help, while I watch fucking all these families who hate this country, who are in this fucking country illegally, living like fucking kings. No, that's not bitter. That's pissed off, and that's intellectually intelligent, and that's seeing the shit for what the fuck it really is. But for some reason, we lost our fucking spine. And that is how the United States will fall. Because we lost our fucking spine, and we're too afraid to be called a fucking name. We are too afraid to call shit for what the fuck it really is. See, I'm swearing now. Damn it. Holy shit. I'm swearing a lot. we're looking at what's happening with Somalia, the Somalians in Minnesota. Yeah, I got a fucking opinion on that. I got a big opinion on that, and I'll tell you why. You guys remember when John Ward and Scotty Roberts and myself, we went into a town in Minnesota called Faribault, Minnesota. We went there to shoot a fucking documentary, a ghost documentary, about this land that used to be a children's orphanage type land. It used to be a farm. And John, with his archaeological skills, we were able to determine where buildings were. You guys remember some of those videos? But we found something really interesting because we were treated like excellent people from one of the city council members, and she owned a motel downtown Faribault. And she's like, you guys stay here so you guys can do all your research, your data. It was a really nice hotel. It was almost like an apartment. And one thing I noticed is the amount of Somalians all over the place. So we started asking questions. Now, Faribault, Minnesota has the number one most amount of historic buildings than any other city in the state of Minnesota. And none of them were upgraded because what's happened was now what Minnesota was doing in the Twin Cities, Ilhan Omar's fucking district became so overpopulated that they're distributing them out now. And they're pushing them out in all these small towns. So they're going out and taking over the small towns. They're taking over the city councils in these towns, and they're making all the decisions for their towns. And then they're creating their own little fucking Sharia patrol shit. I'm not fucking lying. This is the real shit. I'm not going to fucking play dumb. I'm not going to act like it's not happening. It's not racist. It's sight. That's what it is. If somebody is offended by the fact that I'm calling shit out for what the fuck it was, then you need to go for a fucking walk and go jump in a lake off a fucking 600-foot cliff. You know what I mean? You need to slip out of a fucking plane on accident, seriously, because your weak fucking minded is what has caused this shit. What's mad about this shit? And there's nobody even here. Who am I even getting mad at right now? Who am I yelling at? I don't even know who I'm yelling at. There ain't nobody in here. I'm pretending there's somebody in front of me right now, and I'm yelling at them. But this entire town was destroyed by Somalians. But that wasn't the part that really bothered me, because I'm a city guy, right? So I grew up in the city, so I'm used to all different type of diversities, man. I can roll with any fucking group and hang out with any group. I'm used to that. I typically don't have an issue. I have an issue when there's disrespect, right? I have an issue as an American citizen when some foreigner comes into this fucking country and tries to run me out of my own fucking town. When they try to come into this country and start dictating how I'm going to fucking live, where I'm going to be able to walk, how I'm going to be able to be in the presence in their fucking city. I got a problem with that, right? So the part that I found really interesting, now so why I'm telling this story is because what we're witnessing now in Minnesota, this ain't nothing fucking new. This is something that could have been prevented a long fucking time ago. So when politicians come forward and want to try to come up with all the bullshit, they're all responsible. Every single one of them. The Republicans, the Democrats, the governors, the fucking city councils, the mayors, they're all fucking responsible because they sold the ticket of whatever the people wanted at that time, that whatever fucking bullshit the people were being sold, whatever ideological fucking fight they were fighting at that fucking time, the mayors change up, they change their faces, and they tell you what you want to hear to get that job. Yeah, so Barbara's talking about all the fraud. See, that's my point. So, and none of this is new, Barbara. Is it Barbara? So none of this is new, Barbara. And that's what I'm getting at. So, because this situation that I had with the Somalians in Minnesota, if anybody can remember, help me out. It was probably like 8 years ago, maybe even 9 years ago, maybe fucking 10 years ago. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. It had to be that long. And here's where things got really interesting when we were in this town, Faribault, Minnesota. We have this documented. So in the morning time, because we're out filming all night, trying to do the fun ghost stuff, we're all filming all night. So I wanted to go out and have a cigar. Obviously, you can't smoke cigars in these hotels. And so I wanted to go outside on the sidewalk, light up a cigar, and just fucking chill. It was Minnesota. It was a beautiful day. It's not like this Florida heat. You can go outside and just sit outside in nice 70, 80 degree weather. And there were Somalians everywhere. And I'm not talking like American. I'm not talking Americanized. These are still very they just came from Somalia. But what the interesting part is how focused they were on me and how focused they were on Scotty and John, because we're all sitting outside in front of the hotel. And see, they have this system, and it's like it's a mobile text system. So when somebody is not welcome in an area, or somebody needs to, be paying attention to, they send out this mass alert. And before you know it, listen to this shit. All of a sudden, all these old, beautiful buildings that were destroyed because of the fucking cockroaches and the piss and the shit they were shit and piss right in their houses. All of a sudden, all these windows were opening up and people were peeking at us. It was tripping me out, really. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then it got to a point to where all of a sudden there's groups of men that started coming outside on different corners around us, staring right at us. They weren't coming out, going to the candy store. They weren't out going for a walk. They were out because they got the message that there was 3 white guys out there that they didn't want in their town. And so they started staring at us. And then all of a sudden, guess what? The car started rolling by with the imams, with the big fully bearded, like the rulers. They started driving by us real slow, all staring at us. Like, this one car had like 6 of them in that fucking car. I don't know how they got all 6 in there, but they're sitting on each other's laps and shit. They're all just, mean mugging us like a son of a bitch. And here's the part that I'll still never understand to this day. Law enforcement showed up. I was like, thank fucking God, man. I go, fuck, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. You know what I'm saying? We were asked to leave. We were asked to leave because we were creating a disturbance in the fucking town. We were sitting outside smoking a fucking cigar, just minding our own business. We were exhausted from filming all night. We weren't out punking people, staring at people, talking shit to anybody. We were a fun group of people. Any one of them motherfuckers could have came up to us and started talking with us and been like, hey man, what's up? I'd have been like, what's up? And just bullshitted. Probably would have done an interview or did some selfies or something. But the white fucking cop came up to us and we needed to leave town. So I was livid. About this. So this is when the lady that owned the motel, she was on the city council. And we sat with her and we're like, we're being asked to leave. And she started telling us about what has been going on there. She was the only city council member that was vocally against everything that was happening. It seems like everybody else in the city council was all for it. The super liberal people were all for helping these people. Their crime tripled. They couldn't afford the fucking education because when they sent people out of the cities and they put them in these smaller towns, those towns have to absorb the cost, not the state. Those towns have to figure out a way to increase and create a better educational system, to figure out a way to start dealing with all the additional crime, to figure out a way how to fucking feed all of them because they're all on fucking welfare. And just like Barbara was talking about, they're making fucking millions. They were making millions with these fucking daycare centers. At the same time, they're getting government fucking benefits. They're making millions of dollars while you and me and everybody else is working 3 fucking jobs just to be broke. And then we get to a point to where they can go in these towns and take the motherfuckers over. They overpopulate the town. They outbreed the town. They take over the city councils. They start their own Sharia police. Prove me that that's not happening. I would like to see any white person going to Dearborn, Michigan, wearing a Jesus t-shirt. And let's see how far you can get in Dearborn, Michigan before that same shit that happened to us happens to you. And so as Americans, as patriots, and people who preach that we're concerned about the future of our fucking children, why don't we have balls to call this radical bullshit out? Why are we so afraid to be the compassionate people? Or we're afraid not to be the compassionate? We're always so fucking afraid of a label that fear and that spineless mentality is going to be what destroys this country. We can watch on the Biden administration thousands of people come through our southern border and not do shit about it. We don't even know where the fuck they are. We don't even know who they are. We don't even know really how many of them there was, right? They all had special apps on how to perfectly do it to get into this country and claim asylum and all that other bullshit. They're handing babies off left and right, using them as tokens and making people pretend that they were a couple coming in with the baby because then they're guaranteed asylum because they had a kid. That kid would come over to the United States, get sent right back over into Mexico. That baby would be used again until that baby died or whatever the fuck happened to it. And if anybody wants to say that I'm wrong, I will get the people that dealt directly with this situation. I'll even get fucking Tom Homan on the show. I've known Tom for years. And he will tell you exactly what the fuck's happening. But for some reason, Americans aren't aware of what's happening. When Trump said that, when he mentioned the amount of women that get raped coming in this country illegally, the first thing I did was I looked up the statistic because everybody was super mad. Trump said all Mexicans are rapists. 70% of women that come into this country, or maybe it was 90%, it was some astronomical number. 70% of women that come into this country illegally at the southern border were raped. It blew my fucking mind, because it's like, why don't we know this statistic? And if we're going to get so mad at what somebody says, why don't we validate the authenticity of the claim before we get super angry about it? And that's when you start realizing that who in our government is really for fucking our country? Who is really fighting for the freedom? Anybody in our government, conservative, Republican, liberal, whatever it may be, that truly defends the rights of the American people, they get shunned out. Look at Massey. Look at MTG. Look at all these people that were strong conservative leaders, that were fighting for what I believe were a lot of our core values. And we're bringing up situations like our southern border. We're bringing up the situations of the atrocities of like Israel, and the atrocities of our agencies and what we're responsible for at a global level. And the second you start bringing that up, they disappear. And we get some fucking schmuck that comes in that is part of the game. And we're constantly so. And now we're to a point to where we have all these cameras, these flock cameras. We have this AI situation happening. We're in the surveillance fucking state. So it's just like, can we even recover the freedom that we pretended we had at some time? Is that even recoverable? And at what cost will it take to get back to that core root of actual freedom, and to back to a point to where we get back to that same ideological state that the government is a servant of the people? Is that even possible? That's kind of the question that I'll leave the show with tonight. And let's see what Mary said here. That's going to be what I closed with on that. Is it even possible to get back to a state of what we thought was the core values of this country? Get back to the state of that we are the power. The government is a servant of the people. Because we don't hold that right accountability. We don't hold it the way we should to our elected officials. We know that there's corruption left and right, up and down, across the board. We can sit here and talk about all these different conflicts, and we can talk about the conspiracies. We have Building 7 that fell during 9/11. Most people don't even know Building 7 fell, but nobody even questions the conspiracy of it. And if you bring up 9/11 from a conspiracy level, oh my God, you're a fucking radical. And so that is how we have been manipulated into being the stupid population on this planet. Literally, we are the dumbest we've ever been, and this is why. And we're that gullible. So Mary said it's just not women. Children are being assaulted in that process as well. 100%. We interviewed a girl, me and Ron Phillips, when we were at an event in South Carolina. She was raised in a dog kennel till she was 12 years fucking old. And she wasn't used for transportation. She was used as a sex toy. And so there's all these people, these women and these children and these babies and even men that have horrifying stories that they survived. And in these horrifying stories, they get put somewhere where they don't exist. Their stories aren't allowed to be heard. And the only people that are that try to become a voice for these people is independent media like me and you know, people that we watch and we try to surround ourselves with. I have a lady coming on the 30th. She, my God, wait till you hear her story. I'll have more details on that tomorrow, just so I don't misrepresent. I will let everybody know who the guest is. What an incredible story. Child sex trafficking, this pedophilia ring, coming from Russia. It's difficult for me to have shows and intellectual conversation because I get mad and I don't care. I get mad anymore. I wish this entire fucking country got as mad as I did. And we got loud about it. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to fix it. You know, I just hope that we figure this shit out quicker than, you know, later, because I don't even know if there's a turning point to fix this shit anymore. You know, unless, you know, we tear the power grid down and we become cavemen again and go back to the fucking Wild West. And sometimes, honestly, that don't even sound that bad to me anymore. I mean, put me in a fucking mountain, you know, put me in a mountain. You kind of get to that point. So anyways, folks, I love you. I appreciate you. I ranted way too much here. I don't even know if I accomplished anything today. I bitched and moaned about a lot of stuff, and I don't even know if I accomplished anything. But I love you, man. I appreciate you. Tomorrow should be a fun show. Don't even know what I'm talking about yet because that's what we do, right? This is what we do on the Rocci Stucci Show. It's the ADHD of talk radio. StucciCreations.com. Check that shit out. I updated the website. It looks freaking fantastic. Stucci Creations now has evolved to Stucci Marketing Group. We are working on some big things right now, some big contracts with some really big companies and that are doing some incredible things. And we will keep everybody in the loop once all that gets solidified. PulsePodcasting.com and HeroesGather.com. That is the events website for veterans, for police officers, firefighters, first responders. If I don't care who you are, really, if you're a true American and you need to advertise an event that's for a really good cause, we will get you on there. We have a free feature. If you have an event, there's a free feature on there. You don't have to get the paid feature. Paid features is if you want this big highlight landing page, all that other stuff. But if you have an event, a cool event, and you don't have, it's free. Pulse Podcasting, same thing. If you have an RSS feed, just get your ass over there, sign up, put your RSS feed in there, and that's it. Done. Walk away. And then you help my site by giving more shows on there, and we make everything look good. So, folks, man, I love you. StucciMedia.com, too, by the way. I can't throw all these URLs out because you guys are going to forget every single one of them. Mary, I love you. Barbara, thank you for being here. Elderberry, I love you guys. I appreciate you. We're going to be here again tomorrow night. I'll be on both Facebook and YouTube. Some people don't like going to YouTube. Some people don't like going to Facebook. So you know what? Screw it, man. I will just make sure that I'll just be on both of them. And then don't forget the podcast. You can find the podcast on every major podcast outlet available. That's what I'm doing right now is actually recording the audio for the show. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. I am the emotional meatball, Rocci Stucci. This is the Rocci Stucci Show. And until tomorrow night, much love, much respect. And don't forget rule number freaking 1. Don't take shit from nobody. Love you guys.